Well, I'm here with my roommate. We share the same household, but she's in a different room. And this is Zoe Blumenshine. I would like
Oh,
to start by asking what you're studying, your major, and if you're taking face to face or remote classes.
okay, yeah. I'm a biology major on a pre-dental track, and all of my classes are remote. I have not stepped foot on campus once, unless it was like to get something I needed, like a book or something from the bookstore. But yeah, all of my classes are online, even like my labs and stuff. So
Yeah, and what do you think about remote learning, like remote classes?
Honestly, I think it has its pros and cons. I really like how I can kind of be at my own pace and like it's helped me a lot where I don't have to like rearrange my schedule like to make time to go out and out of my way to go to a classroom and go do that. But I think it's also been harder because you don't have that one-on-one like in a lecture. You know what I'm saying? It's all through like Zoom and stuff, so that is harder. But yeah.
Yeah. And like since we're in a global pandemic, we got like COVID-19 going on and all that. Like tell me how you're feeling given the uncertainty of like everything we're doing right now, like during these times. Like how do you feel about all the COVID stuff going on?
Honestly, I think it's very scary, and being down here with San Marcos being such a hot spot is definitely a risk, especially with the holidays coming up and wanting to like go back home and like visit family. Like, that's obviously not really possible right now. I think I mean, it is what it is. Like, hopefully, like, as long as everyone's being safe, like, that's basically all I see about it.
Yeah. And like with remote classes, how do you manage your day? Like what is an average day during like the week during school for you when you have classes and all that?
Yeah, so Tuesdays and Thursdays are my heavy days. So I usually try to wake up earlier on those days, about like 9 a.m., 9:30. I know that's not really early, but it's early for me. And I usually go down and get coffee and like breakfast and study before I have a Zoom, take that Zoom, study that, and then just basically I have back-to-back Zooms on those days. And on Mondays and Wednesdays, it's mostly just catching up on homework and stuff like that. So a lot of time on Zooms and
A lot of
stuff.
time on Zooms.
Yeah.
Have you been doing anything like in your free time that's not like regarding like curriculum education and stuff that's been fun during the time of COVID?
Yeah, I feel like during the time of COVID, especially in quarantine, like before I came back to school, I've been getting into a lot of like more crafty stuff, like painting and stuff like that. And I think that's like a really good outlet because it like kind of you take a step back from everything that's going on and it gives me time to like just breathe and step back and like be in my own world. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. COVID's been very like it's been very uncertain in terms of like what you're able to do and what you can and can't go out and do and stuff like that. Is there anything that you've like learned during this pandemic experience about COVID, about your life or about like people around you?
Yeah. Well, I think I've learned the number one thing I have learned throughout this whole, besides like being like safer and more cautious and like more clean and stuff like that has definitely been a wake up call for me. But I think also just like you really do discover who your real friends are because you start to see how like selfish people can be, especially like during this time and where their priorities are at. So I think that's been the biggest learning lesson for me is just like seeing like people who I thought were my friends were like prioritizing like partying and different things like big group events that could put like people and their family members at risk, and it's like seeing that as like, oh, like that's how you are, like it's just like the reality of things. So I think that's the biggest thing I've learned, and it's a
Yeah.
blessing and a not good at the same time. So yeah.